I know there's no bills to look at, but I guess the first order of business is going to be to look over the minutes and submit a motion to accept them.
Move to accept the minutes of May 19th as presented.
Well, I had a question about them. So at the last meeting, I agreed to be the liaison to the library, right? And I thought Cheryl was going to be the liaison to the sewer department.
Did I not write that?
Right, you gave her the water department, and I thought
Oh.
Cheryl had taken the water department, is that right?
That is right. Well, just, it just looks like it's probably just a typo. Put sewer in there.
I agree with what she's saying. I had said that I would take the water department.
Okay,
but,
sorry.
Okay.
I can fix that.
Yeah.
So we'll correct
You're
that.
absolutely right. I looked at it myself and then I figured, well, but yeah, no. It'd be far more convenient for me to do that. I have a lot of experience in that area. and,
So Joe, we just need to do a friendly amendment. Is that correct?
Friendly
Yeah.
amendment?
Yes, I'll be doing the water department.
You wanted to say that,
Sure.
please. Dennis is gonna tell you what to write.
Big catch.
Can you tell Lori what
So
to?
move to accept the minutes of May 19th as presented and amended.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to do a roll call because you're on video?
If it makes you feel better, it'd be fine with me. Dennis, what do you think about that?
I thought it was
I don't think it's
required.
necessary, but it doesn't hurt.
I think it's required.
Yeah, now the
Just did
Zoom
that
thing.
home requirement thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's required because when we do the grant, we have to do it if somebody's on Zoom.
Yeah.
And you know who the stickler is for all that.
No.
It's the only reason I know about these things.
Well, you know who my go-to person is on that? And he's sitting right beside you.
Oh, no, I think he's talking about you, but I'm talking about the grant. We have somebody that's like anal retentive about.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, each member can vote individually. Dennis,
Aye.
ma'am,
Aye.
and Joe, aye, okay. All right, so.
Thank
Joyce-
you.
No,
Yep.
no, thank you. Joyce, you've got a health agent report?
Yeah, so, we are busy, extremely. We are trying to make sure that we've we're using, you know how I like to wait till the end of the year to spend the money because I'm afraid something's gonna happen. So we, have purchased some informational flyers that can be handed out at different town functions, like the agricultural fair. We have got printing done from WePrint so that we're back with a good amount of forms that were needed that need to be done in triplicate. We are sending out, part of my report is also that we have conducted compliance checks again, Bob Collette through the Tobacco Compliance Initiative. And we have a fourth time offense and a third time offense. And then we have 3 first timers, I think, and 2 second timers, a third and a fourth. And both the third and the fourth are the quick marts. So it's a mandatory 1-year loss. I am going to consult with town council because I'm only allowed to look back 36 months according to our regs, but if you go back, there have been more violations. There's been ongoing issues. And so I think at this point, for at least one of the locations, it's time to pull the permit. And not have tobacco sales at that location because it's been ongoing. Along with complaints that have come in. Residents making complaints that tobacco was sold to underage people, their kids mainly. So I will be checking in with town council. I will report back to the board, but at this point, all the letters will go out, the fines will go out to each of the respective groups. Hold on a minute. We have, also, I have to be passed around, drafted and I will have Lori bring it or myself bring it tomorrow so you can read it. But basically, we wrote a thank you letter to the people that passed, because I do think it's kind of important to acknowledge those businesses who are doing a good job and who are passing the compliance checks with flying colors. And we have a bunch of them that have a history of passing every time. Like I look back in I have a tracking sheet that shows even violations as far back as 99. So we have people that have just really done a good job. So I think it's important for us to promote that and also to post it on our Facebook page and the town website that, these stores, just to let people know, these stores are doing a good job, so that if you have the option to go to store A or store B, and store A has a really good compliance record, it's nice to support the people that are following the rules. So
Yeah.
unless anybody has a big issue with it.
I think that's a fabulous idea, to lift up those people who are,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, just let them know you're doing a
right,
good job.
right, yeah.
Joe, any comments on that?
I'm just disappointed, back to that, the establishment that you mentioned. I
Really,
call-
Joe, you're
well,
disappointed.
Giving him a break not long ago.
We've
And,
given him a break. We've then taken him to court.
I know,
He's
I
already
know,
been fined.
I know.
Obviously, the message is not getting through.
No,
And
it's
at
not.
this point, this is becoming a public safety issue because they are continuing to sell to minors.
We agree. He's used up whatever benevolence I felt in his direction, so,
Well, and there's also other issues on top of that,
I know the issue.
besides the tobacco. So
Out of code
we've
food,
gotten complaints that the merchandising, that they have one price, but somebody's getting charged a different price. I had to explain to the resident, unfortunately, that's out of my ability to control, but I told them they should call the state. That may be a better direction to head, because we don't really have any control over pricing of sales. But I mean, there's just ongoing problems.
Oh, I know, been a long road with him. Well, I'm sorry to hear it, but, well, we'll move on. What else you
Okay.
got?
Hold on, Dennis has a question.
Sure, Dennis was there when,
If we, pull the permit, are they able to reapply in a year or so, or is it, forever, so long as the ownership remains the same?
No, you guys have in I pulled them, in the regulations, it says that on the fourth offense, that if we pull it, no, I can't find what I did with it. That's it. And as it stands, they will lose, per the state, they will lose their, license to sell tobacco for 1 year. But in addition, our regulations say that if the fourth offense if it's, continued violations, that we can just pull the permit and that's it. They don't get it back until ownership changes outside of the family. If you remember, we talked about that because the
Yes, we did.
concern was, we'll just give it to the wife or the husband or the kid. And so the ownership has to change completely before they can reapply for a permit.
So
So,
that answers the question, it's too bad that, we didn't have the ability to, they used up all the get out of jail free cards, so that's beyond the pale. But going forward, once you get into after a second offense, that, I think we should I'd like to find out from town council whether it's, we have the ability to require a bond. We can't, you know, I'm saying like a $10,000 bond or something like that, if they get, this is after a second offense, this is the fourth offense we get, they're out of the game.
Well, how the state works is we have, first offense is $1,000 fine, and all employees must complete the online training, and they have to provide that to us. Second offense is $2,000 and loss of ability to sell for 7 days. Third offense is $5,000 and loss for 30 days. Fourth offense is loss for a year. No, it's loss for a year. But it clearly states in our rules and regulations, if there's egregious, so literally they have had 4 offenses from January of 2003 till now. 4 times in 2 years.
Have they passed a compliance check in that period of time?
No, they have had, out of that time, they have had, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I gotta find it again. They've had 6 checks, and out of the 6 checks, they flunked 4 times. And my guess is the only reason they passed, 1 is because we just took them to court. And they just had to pay $6,000. And that was a month ago. So they had one in May, and then they had one in June.
Right, so just a correction, so you said 2003, did you mean 2023?
Yes, 2023
Okay.
to
okay,
2025, they
Right.
had been tested 6 times, 6 out of
Right.
those times, they
Okay.
flunked 4 times.
Okay,
And one of
Right.
the times that they passed was
Right.
right after they had to pay a $6,000 fine.
right, okay, so they've recognized in the past there have been consequences?
No, they were given a break at one point. This
Oh.
board reduced the fee and didn't make them pay a fine, but Massachusetts, the state,
The state.
said
right.
absolutely, and it just got enacted within the last year.
Uh-huh.
We have no discretion anymore. The
Right.
fine is the
fine
fine.
is fine is
We
fine.
can't make it
Right.
go away.
So
And
up
there's been other ones prior to this
Right,
that they have not had to do anything. So this is just the ones in the last 2 years. This is
Okay.
not an overall of the entire business.
okay, but up until this point, they haven't had to pay a significant fine?
Oh, no, they just paid $6,000 in April.
Okay, so they recognized that.
Well, no, this is
right,
after we took them to court because they wouldn't pay it.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh,
there was a
okay,
whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, see, I don't know that history.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Right, right. I mean, it does seem severe to not ever have the license reinstated because that could certainly cripple the business. But if that's,
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
long-standing history.
Yeah, I
So
think
there's
there's a lot
a
more to
second,
this than-
there's a
yeah,
second
okay.
location who is
Yeah.
now on their
Yeah.
3rd violation.
Not the
And-
first rodeo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is, there's other issues besides just the tobacco. So
Yeah.
I will check in with town
Right.
council and report back what I find.
Mhm. Okay.
As far as anything else, I sent everyone a email concerning this integrated healthcare. So I can tell you that many of the fire chiefs in the area are not for it. I'm not for it, but I'm not the board. You guys make that decision. It costs the town money and it takes away our decision-making ability. It's sort of like it's run by somebody else. So I don't know how that would benefit the town per se. But I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say, because I do need to tell the town administrator what people's feelings are about it.
Okay, so I for one found the packet totally lacking in any information that was usable. It was broad
Usable.
generalities.
Yeah,
It was stated facts. So for instance, it said, some of the benefits and they saved $2 million. I thought, well, who saved the $2 million?
because we have to pay to get into this.
Right, so who's saving it? Is it the actual client? Is it
Yeah.
the patient themselves? Is it the town? Is it the insurance company saving the money? Is it the hospital? That was not clear to me. None of this was clear to me. I couldn't figure out who the medical director was. What were the steps to be involved? in the MAH program as an individual, there was virtually, I thought, no usable information in that packet.
Well, they also don't seem to really outline how much money it's gonna cost.
No,
And that to me is a big one, considering we're in a budget deficit
Right,
and
right.
they're already talking about us needing to really examine our budgets.
Right, I cannot judge the merits of that proposal with the information provided. It didn't add up in any way.
So am I correct in assuming that I can tell Keith that at this point, we're really not interested, given that there was a lack of information provided?
That'd be very well put as far as I'm concerned. Dennis, you got anything on this?
No, that sounds fair to me.
Okay, great,
Okay,
done.
yeah.
All right, that's all I got on that. And like I said, we redid the fee schedule that you guys approved, but I need everybody to sign it. And I think I know we were supposed to revisit a couple of things. But I'm guessing that's gonna have to wait, and I was waiting on, Dennis, you were
Yeah,
gonna do a
on
public.
PSAs, yeah,
Yeah, so that I need from you.
I haven't totally forgotten them, I just haven't got them done yet. What do you think?
Oh, sure.
Joe, do you have anything? The only thing, Lori, were we unclear about the ADU fees? Was that it, that it needs to be revisited?
Hmm.
We had one, but we.
Oh, no, you were very clear.
No, I'm reading the notes, Joe. It says a
Yeah.
motion was made by Dennis to increase the ADU plan fee to 175,
Right,
and Heidi seconded, but then I don't have anything else. Is that went through, that is okay?
on the next page, it says 5-0-0.
Oh.
Oh, okay, so, all right, I missed the pyro, and
Alright.
I'm like, I just don't wanna be instituting things that weren't approved.
No problem. It was, yes,
Sorry,
no,
I
hey,
just
so was
wanna
I. I
cover
tried
my
to argue
proverbial-
against it.
Break it like that.
you just wanna cover my butt.
No, it's okay.
That's
You've got
really,
three tracks on here. I'm concerned with what you're trying to, why is that on here?
what?
You've got grease traps.
Oh, yeah, so I just had a quick question, because we have no real regulations concerning grease traps, and I
No.
did do some research, like, we have nothing formalized. Other than it's gotta come, I'm assuming, basically, if we have nothing formalized, it must comply with Title V.
Right,
Okay, that's all I wanna clarify. I just have somebody, a Jersey Mike's that's looking to open, so I'm gonna tell them that if they're going, because they don't wanna rip up the whole parking lot, which I get. And their grease production will be minimal, because most of their stuff is already made cold cut, so they're
Right.
doing a lot of slicing. So I
Yeah.
feel like an internal one,
Internal, yeah.
that's, I just want pumping reports.
Mhm.
And we can kind of go from there if that's acceptable to the board. That's how I'm planning to move forward.
you might check with Tom Bouchard. I believe that will be dealt with on the plumbing permit.
Okay, I will do that.
I recommend it.
No, I will, but I don't think I can say what kind of grease trap I want. It can't be a
Yeah.
passive, it has to be, it can't just be the old fashioned box. It's gotta be
Yeah.
one that's, they make them, I know what they are from the industry. So, as far as this Jersey Mike guy, he could care less, as long as I don't make him dig up the parking lot.
Right,
So
Yeah.
he's gonna be pretty much happy with me telling him he needs to go with a
Mhm.
internal one, but it needs to be monitored and pumped on a regular basis, and I need the pumping reports.
I think you'll be fine with that.
Okay,
And
The
you're
garbage
saying,
grinders, what's your thoughts there with these garbage grinders? How far did you want to go with that?
can I just ask one clarifying on the grease trap thing?
Yep.
So I'm not familiar with Jersey Mike's, so they don't do French fries or anything
No,
like
it's a
that?
sub shop.
It's just subs,
Yep.
okay, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I feel very strongly about this. That
I can
if
know.
somebody has a grinder on a system that is not designed for it, it needs to be removed. Like, it's just stupid.
Mhm.
It clearly states it on your plans. You know that when you buy the house, it says it on your septic. And I'm not so concerned about if you screw up your system, that's on you. But when you come across it in a Title V, because you know the house is getting sold, it should be mandatory that they remove the grinder and comply with what the design of the system is. Because you're selling that house to somebody. Basically, you have just, decrease the effectiveness of the SIS by having one of those on it.
Essentially, you're talking either remove the grinder or upgrade the system to accommodate the
Right,
grinder.
which means that you have to,
Mhm.
so Title V says if you're having a grinder and a garbage grinder on your system, you must upsize your septic system leaching field by 50%. So that means instead of having an 800 square foot, which is what's required, you would
1200.
need to make it a 1200,
That's.
which is asinine, like just take the damn thing off.
Yeah, at that point, I think,
You would
all
think.
but the most obtuse would, say, okay, I don't need the grinder.
Right. So, that's up to you guys, but that's how I feel about it. We should be really trying to make sure that when a house is transferred, that the system is in good working order and it is correctly outfitted according to what the plans were, so that some poor bugger who's now saved and scraped to get a house doesn't have a $25,000 septic repair bill in 6 months because they didn't know that there's a, they shouldn't have a grinder on it. I also think we should do education around septics, but that's my opinion. Joe, you're awful quiet.
I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it's in no one's best interest to have a system fail, right? It's not in the public health, it's not in the
No,
public
it's
best
an issue,
interest.
especially in certain areas.
Correct, right. So, right. So it's not just affecting that homeowner. It's
No, it
affecting
could
the environment.
potentially affect other people
Exactly,
around you.
Right.
It just causes the septic system to go
Right.
into failure quicker.
Right.
I mean, we could do it at the transfer of property, then it needs to be removed prior to the transfer of property.
Hmm.
Cause it gets put on the Title V. When somebody's doing a Title V inspection, also, I see them, it's not super frequent, but it's frequent enough that I highlight it on the report so that when a realtor pulls it, they can see it.
Well, unless, of course, there was an incident where the system was in fact designed to accept that flow, and the system inspector can produce evidence of that.
It has to
Then-
state it right on the plans.
I understand. Then,
So like I always, when I'm reviewing the plans, I always mark them. That it
Right.
says not designed for a septic, for a grinder, so like on new stuff. Or if it's an upgrade.
okay,
It's really more the systems that are coming through that are older. That, have been rigged over the years. And, maybe not completely compliant. You can stew on it, and it's not like it's gonna matter if we wait another 2 weeks or 3 weeks for this. Fine,
well, why don't we put it on the agenda for discussion at the next meeting when we hopefully have a full board.
okay, sounds good.
Because I know Heidi has some feelings on this, and
Really?
Cheryl should be allowed to weigh in as well.
Okay.
Sure. Can we ask other towns how they handle that? So, our neighboring
Yeah, but you
towns.
know, the problem with asking
Yeah.
other towns is
Right.
you don't know. I can handpick which towns I wanna go to.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know that Plymouth has very strict rules, whereas if I went to Carver, probably not so much.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
not necessarily
Right,
a good way to make a decision. I think when I'm looking at the possibility of like, grease trap rules or needing, if somebody already has a policy in place, I think it's good to look at those
Look
to
at their
say, okay,
policy,
well, this
right.
is a good idea, but I
Right.
don't know that I wanna go that far.
Right.
So that's when I look at other people, but
Right.
yeah, it's more like once we've decided we're gonna do this. So the only other thing really is the, soil evaluation. To require a new perk test for anything that's older than 1995. You know, predates 1995.
Well, that's reasonable, although
I think so.
I think the soils have changed that drastically, but maybe the groundwater has.
That's
Yeah.
really what this concern is about. So there's neighborhoods that, have houses in them that if they were being built now, it's questionable whether the system that's in there would actually be allowed. And so I think that for the sake of public health and safe drinking water, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a perk if the system was designed and installed before 1995,
Mhm.
because the rules weren't the same.
And it can be done during construction, when the leaching field is opened up. And it doesn't increase the cost to the builder or the developer or the homeowner in any way.
Well,
shape, or-
the only problem I can see with that, Joe, is if they perk it and it's not good, and they can't just replace because it's hard to design a new system. If your
Mhm.
SAS has failed, and they're gonna go and do a replacement and do a perk there, but it's not working, and now say a mounted system or a pump, it's like something else has to be designed, you're not saving them any money. And I mean, a perk is a couple $100. It's not like it's astronomical.
No, I was just thinking of an economy of scale if the machine were right there. And
No,
could
I
do
get it.
That's all.
No, I understand, but my concern is you may wind up costing them more money in the end because they've designed a system that doesn't work and now it's gotta be re-engineered.
Yeah. Well, you designed a system based upon the old criteria.
Exactly.
It's
Right,
changed.
so the criteria may not be the same.
Correct, and next thing you know, you're into a pump or something else and. there you
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I've been to a few locations where, you're dealing with, the need for a hydraulic tank, cause the water table's so high, the buoyancy issue. So I don't wanna get into a situation where somebody's doing a whole system and now the whole thing has to come to a complete halt because we got water in a hole.
I understand completely. I get it. Well. Again, I think. It would be very reasonable to put that in as a basic requirement in Kingston for the pre-1995 soil evaluations, but. I think that the vote of that policy would be better put before the.
Next
entire-
meeting,
Yes, I think that would be a better move, but you have my support on it, but
All right.
again, let the other two members weigh in as well.
okay, so
And we'll talk about the tobacco violation, and I think we've already covered that.
no, we're done, I'm done anyways.
Well, does anyone have any other new or old business? Dennis, you got anything?
Yes, if there's no other business, I would make a motion to adjourn.
No, you gotta do the next one.
Oh,
You gotta hold
No.
on a second. Yeah, we gotta do the next meeting, yeah, before we
What?
adjourn. You have to set another meeting before we adjourn. But Joe, I gotta tell you, I will not be here on July 7th, which is would
you
be the
already
next
told me that.
scheduled meeting. So I don't know if you wanna just wait, or you wanna schedule it for, would that be the 21st?
21st would be the next.
But if anything comes up that requires attention, you guys could hold it without me, or I could zoom in if need be.
I have no objection to that. Anybody else?
So the next one would be the 21st.
Oh, okay, that's a long time.
It's
Sounds good here.
just a month, it's really a month.
Yeah, yeah.
If
What's
Larry
that?
should contact me and say, we have an issue, blah, 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 somebody
Yeah.
needs something,
Mhm.
then
I
obviously.
know,
I
if we needed a variance or an upgrade or
Uh-huh.
something, I will
Yeah.
zoom in from where I am if need be.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine,
All right.
but we haven't had a whole hell of a lot, as is evidenced by the agenda.
Okay.
Mhm. Right, so before we
That
adjourn,
note, the next regular scheduled meeting will be
oh, okay, go
July
ahead.
21.
July 21.
21.
July 21st, Joe,
Okay, I got it.
okay? Rosemary has a question.
Yeah, so this is just
Yeah,
not
that
anything
would
on
be
the
the time.
agenda, so not something new, just a couple of questions that I
Yeah.
have. Any success with the Maven with hiring a nurse?
No,
Like,
we have a nurse, we have a public health nurse, but she's
Okay.
limited hours.
Okay,
And we haven't had any success
that's
for
what I
the
mean, the full-
grant.
okay, the full-time
That-
job that's been posted.
Yeah, that's
Right.
through Plymouth, that's through the
Right,
grant.
the
So,
grant,
no, as far as I know, we have
Right.
had no
Nothing,
candidates.
right.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility of increasing the pay? for the
They've
position?
already increased it
Yeah.
and they
Okay, not
added,
enough,
it-
yeah.
no, it's like $85,000 a year. For a full-time nurse
Right,
who's not
yeah.
doing direct patient care, that is literally doing blood
Uh-huh.
pressure clinics or doing some presentations.
Uh,
You know,
okay.
that's not a bad salary. So for somebody who doesn't want to be like in an emergency room or in the hospital
Right,
or
right.
a doctor's office, you know. We're just, it's everywhere. The whole entire state is having the same problem.
That's
It's
it.
whatever grant you
Right,
talk to,
right.
everybody's trying to hire and nobody's getting applications.
Right. And the reason I said, I mean, it's not enough money in today's world because the hospitals are offering so much money because they really need nurses.
Right,
You know, so you
So-
can make much more money than that at a
Right.
hospital and not be responsible to 4 towns. So,
right.
Yeah,
But you're also gonna have a lot more responsibility in a hospital. Like patient care wise.
Yeah,
and
patient care wise, right,
Liability
right,
and
right, right.
safety issues,
Right,
like,
right.
this is
right.
not exactly a heavy lifting job.
Right, yeah, no, it's a different thing. It's a different thing, but the pay, doesn't, it's not in the favor of the program, that pay. This isn't, just
Yeah.
wondering how that was going.
Not good.
Yeah. And so, I went to the opioid abatement, open hearing
Mhm.
down in Plymouth, just to sort of hear, like, to understand it a little bit better. How can I find out, like, how much money the
We
town of
get-
Kingston has? Yes.
Contact the
Like, where
selectman's
is that?
office. It goes,
Okay.
it goes into the general fund apparently. That's what I was told.
Right, it goes to the general fund, but it's meant to be distributed by the Board of Health,
Okay,
Right.
well,
right?
It's
Am I
not.
right on this?
I don't
So
believe
I'm just-
so.
Okay, so.
Like
so-
it goes into, like, I know that the police get some
Uh-huh.
to do stuff around opioids. But the best thing to
Right.
do is contact the selectman's office to ask for where that money's, how that money is being distributed, because it's
Okay.
got nothing to do with us. Like, we see
Uh-huh,
nothing,
uh-huh. Okay,
unfortunately.
good. I mean, that's not the way it is in other
Yes,
towns, but, right, one of the good things about going to these meetings is you do get to meet people from other towns and sort of hear
Mhm.
what they're doing. So that's why I just was wondering, like, what's happening.
You get on it.
Okay, all right, I'll get back to you all on that then.
Okay.
All right.
And Joe, just to give you a heads up, I did receive a email, by the way, from the state. I just CC'd on it. Apparently there's issues with the grant from when we held it and there's money that wasn't accounted for. So I'm giving it to Linda to take care of, because obviously I have no records of any of this stuff because it was pre-me. So I'll
Okay.
keep you in the loop, but that's really all I know.
Well, you're gonna wanna involve Linda Reardon in that conversation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, no, that's what I just said. It's gonna go to Linda and I'll put her in touch with Kathleen Barrett. The,
I have no
Comptroller.
doubt that Linda will have everything that you need.
I'm sure she will because Linda
Yeah.
is on it. She's very
She does
organized.
a great job for them over there, great job.
Yeah, she's super. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Dennis,
Now,
it's your turn, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, make a motion, adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
roll
thank you.
call. Aye, Dennis.
Joyce,
Aye,
my best
Rosemary.
brother.
Joe, say aye.
Hi.
Thank
Here we
you.
go. Okay.